and every staff meeting, but for the most part, they're heavily involved in what goes on in those staff meetings, because that's some of our precious time with our teachers. We also think that the communication between the teams that we've allowed to happen is really key, because what happens in our meetings is our BLTs, everyone on here is a member of a BLT. They go back to their building, we kind of talk about what we did at the district, expectations, what does that mean for my building, and the next meeting they come back. And that back and forth, at every DLT we have a BLT update, and they go around the table, here's what we did, we kind of share a little bit, and it creates this very nice kind of push factor for the other teams to go, oh man, did you see what the high school did, or did you see what that elementary did? We want to do that. And they've been sharing and kind of pushing each other along the way. The other thing that communication piece allows us to do is to provide that support, because those of you that have been involved in improvement processes over time, when push comes to shove, a lot of times people just go, okay, well, we can't do that right now. There's a lot of barriers that get put up. And what our system allowed us to do was to have them come and say, gosh, this is not really working. What could we do? And everybody around the table then can say, well, why don't you try this? Or, just keep at it, kind of be the cheerleaders for every BLT. So the DLT kind of serves that purpose of letting them vent, helping people get ideas, and then sharing and going back and forth. And then any of us, the facilitators or other administrators or other teachers, can help each other back in our buildings with any of our challenges. So that communication piece has been really key. We also instituted some common reporting mechanisms. We stole this from Lima, I think, so all of you have seen these Lima forms, but we stole their district leadership team agenda form. Any Lima people in here that we stole from? Okay. we stole this. And then we also have asked all of our teams to kind of use this similar format, and they all report to us. So that had been in the contract for a long time, that department meetings, teacher-based team type groups, and that they would be reporting to the superintendent's office, but there was never really any follow-up on whether that was happening or not. Now, every month I get a stack of reports I think they go to her and she sticks them in my mailbox, and then I kind of keep track and read through those, and we do pay attention to what happens in those meetings. So there is a common reporting form. So when I said we put a lot on our plate and then we took a step backwards and had to kind of figure out what was missing was some common reporting mechanisms for all of our teams. And that has to do with some of the forms on the next bullet item. Also our meeting schedules. We decided about a year and a half, or I guess at the end of the first year, that one of the reasons people weren't coming to faculty meetings, department meetings, is they weren't scheduled well in advance. They didn't have time. We weren't paying attention to coaches' schedules, that kind of thing. So every building put their schedule out a year in advance for department meetings, not grade level meetings so much, but department meetings, staff meetings, BLT meetings, DLT meetings were all put on the schedule a year in advance. And they were put on the schedule in a certain order. So we would have a DLT meeting, then a BLT meeting, then a round of building level department meetings, and then another DLT and a BLT, and then department level meetings, so that we could facilitate that communication between the teams, and that there was always coming up a chance to talk with your building and then your staff about that, or your building team and then your staff. We also talked a lot about the use of time. We never have enough time, but we found we did have time that maybe we weren't using to be the most effective. And so we started looking at some of the time we do have, and you're going to see some examples of what we did on conference nights and those kinds of times that even our high school BLT scheduled a BLT meeting during a conference night when they didn't have some conferences scheduled. So they were trying to be creative with their use of time. We also decided this past year to introduce the norms of collaboration to all of our teams, because most of you know that you have more teams in your district than just what's going on with OIP. So for example, when I was running textbook adoption committees this year, we introduced the norms of collaboration to every single team. So whatever teams we have going on, we introduce those, and we focus on that most important one, presuming positive intentions. And you'll see some examples of that, I think, to share. You have something to share later? Whatever. And so those were kind of the structures that we stepped back and said, these are the things we need to put into place to get ready to do all the things we want to do as a district.